Thank you for joining us today. I'm Anupama Subhosh from ETH, and we have Mr. Ankur Handa, co-founder LENTRA. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much.
And it's a pleasure having you here, especially.
Likewise.
Right. And we are talking about democratized credit and digital lending. So I would love to know more about your views on how your firm has contributed to this.
Yeah. So I think when we thought about lending, I mean the very name LENTRA stands for lending transformed. And when we looked at how the ecosystem in India has been evolving and changing, the customer behavior is changing, the markets are changing. People have got used to Zomato and Swiggy to feed us, and Uber and Ola to take us from point A to point B. So likewise, the expectation is always there on similar lines from lending. Okay. The world is shrinking and everything is, people need everything now and instant gratification. But lending is something that is to be done very, very responsibly and very, very carefully, because lending is a business of not just giving money but actually getting the money back. So to align all of these things, we came up with a platform and rather an ecosystem which is helping the banks, the fintechs and NBFCs in India to ride our platform and make responsible credit decisions. So the entire platform cuts across from customer origination, their entire KYC, their verification, their onboarding onto the platform, and then processing them, what we call as the loan management system. And then even if there are accounts that go on to collection, and then we also do the portfolio upsell, cross-sell and various other things. And for that, we have created a platform which is API based, which is connected with 200 plus data providers here in India. Okay. And I think the soul and the heart of our product is a product called BRE, Business Rule Engine, that enables straight through processing, and it enables decision at the point of sale. So gone are the days when you are going to take a loan decision in 7 days or 2 weeks and you have to run across so many times. If you are doing a small ticket loan, maybe someone is buying a washing machine or a fridge or a TV or a mobile phone, we have got to a point where the loan can be processed under 10 minutes. And the loan decision is being done under 7 seconds. And that's the proprietary straight through processing that we have built as part of our platform. And very delighted that, it's one thing to build a platform, completely another thing to have adoption for the platform. So I think we are, today we have got some 7 significant financial entities and banks which are using our platform. We have come to a point where every month we are doing 2 million loan applications on our platform. Okay. And we are operating at, for some of the portfolio products, we are doing as much as 96% straight through. And we have a fabulous reach operating across 80% of postcodes in India, which are serviceable, where a lending product can be offered. So I think we are at a great space, and we are living through a very, very dynamic and disruptive environment where lending is rediscovering itself.
Right. I think you've covered practically all the points that I was going to ask you. But I do believe the traditional BFSI players, they do have some time to catch up onto the digital platform, particularly because some customers are not very digitally savvy. They do have the apps on their phone, but they're not very comfortable going on to. So how do you believe, or when do you believe these platforms will come and you will see more adoption?
So I think the jury is out there, whether it's the banks or the fintech. We believe, because we are an enabler, we don't take sides. We work both with the banks as well as the fintechs. And I feel in today's world, whether we like it or not, the Google, the Amazon, the Uber, the Zomatos of the world have got all of us to adopt newer ways of using technology. So I think whether we go to, I mean, even my parents, I think they probably would be using WhatsApp more than what I use today. Right? So and I think that probably is that holds true for rest of India. Right. So to a great extent, the technology adoption in India has already happened thanks to the Google and the WhatsApps and the Facebook. Now it comes on to, from a utility standpoint, how can we build essential services using the technology that we are also comfortable with? How can we build lending solutions, banking solutions which are mobile first? In fact, we are now driving, while we do whole lot of services which are mobile first, we are also doing things which is the embedded journey, where we are creating finance just happens to be one of the ways, because when you go to a store to buy a television, you have gone there to buy television, you are not gone there to buy a television loan, right? So if there is a seamless experience that as soon as I have chosen my television, and in less than a minute I can take the television and I can walk away from the store, and that's how seamless the finance or the lending has to be made, and that is what we are drawing through. And we are happy to say that, you know, we are doing it with the banks as well as with the fintechs. And we see a amazing rejuvenation across the board. Some of the banks who had been a little late to take onto the leap are also joining the bandwagon. And I think it's a collective tide that's going up.
It's interesting that you pointed out on the retail part of it, but what about SME lending? Do you believe the SMEs will catch on, or will they be covered in this segment?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, SMEs, like any other country, they are the ones who are going to power India closer to the 5 trillion economy that we want to be. And the beauty of SMEs is it's spread across. It's spread across India, every state, every district, rural, urban, you name it. And with the diversification, as a demographic diversification that we have in India, I think SME represents the true India. And when it comes to SMEs, there are now products that are getting evolved, whether it is OCEN, which is a government initiative, and these are getting enabled with open APIs. So we are the pioneers from a technology standpoint, where we are creating lending APIs that the banks can take to various OEMs and various channels and embed those journeys. We are also helping banks to consume some of the open APIs like OCEN platform and a few other co-lending related initiatives that are running through. So we are also enabling banks to consume that. And we believe we are going to see a sachet size loans getting processed even for SMEs. Typically, when we think of a loan for a business, people would relate with a 25 lakh rupees loan or a 5 crore loan. That size is now coming down. So there are SME loans or business loans which could be for as low as 1 lakh rupees or 5 lakh rupees. There are for a slightly different segment, but you know, there are also some short-term secured lending, short-term unsecured lending products which could be for as low as 50,000 rupees. So when you enable lending at this level, it just takes the game to a different trajectory. And the number of people who are going to join the bandwagon across India is going to be massive, and I think that's what the country needs today.
Absolutely. You think there's going to be a rethinking of card economics, especially in terms of BNPL, or even you know, the RuPay or UPI? I mean, those are also things to be thought about. So do you think there's going to be some kind of change because of BNPL?
Well, I mean, buy now, pay later, coincidentally, is a product that I worked in the year 2001 when I was in UK. I used to be a COBOL programmer at the time. So I think it's a cyclic thing. Everything comes in cycle, and BNPL is in fashion again. But again, I mean, anything that enables credit, because if there are people which are called as the thin files in a technical parlance, or who do not have a credit history with the credit bureaus. If BNPL can be the first segment where we can give them a tiny loan and look at the repayment of that loan and allow those individuals to build a credit history, and over a period of time, once they have a credit history, they can also get bigger, better loans from the banks and lenders. From that per se, BNPL is a great thought, but I think like everything, there has to be checks and balances. A BNPL, when done very, very responsibility, is a great thing. but a BNPL should not lead to splurge, where people will, especially the millennials, if they start buying things that they don't need because affordability has been made, then that could also get us to a vicious cycle of bad debts and NPAs, which is all avoidable. Right. So I think we need to, I think it's a path we need to go, but we need to have a very, very balanced take on it.
Right. So yeah, that was a concern. I think that's what the RBI tried to curtail on in terms of the liquidity situation. That's interesting that you mentioned. So what do you believe the RBI is doing in terms of, I know you mentioned the co-lending space. Is there anything else that you think that has already been done or could be done in the future?
No, I think, I feel the regulator in India has been very, very forthcoming, very progressive, and has been thinking ahead of time. Of course, every time there is a regulation, and I've seen this for the last 25 years, everyone who's in the game has to adjust to the new rules. And but it's very pleasant to have the rules to be brought in at the right time. And so not just the regulation, I feel RBI and Government of India are also encouraging financial inclusion in different ways. So there are a lot of initiatives that have been taken. I mean, OCAN, GEM Sahay spoke about, ONDCs, another big initiative that they're talking about. So with all of these things coming through, it's really going to help everyone. And I think there has to be a fair and a very, very fair playground for all the players, right? And to that effect, I think RBI is doing a great job.
Right, right. And I think one last question. You are obviously a technology ahead. You've changed the game in terms of lending right now. So what are the technology, game-changing technology do you believe will change the future in terms of lending?
Sure. Well, I mean, we are a SaaS provider, software as a service. We believe in zero software, hardware on the customer premise. We have built platforms which are cloud native, which are API first, which are completely configurable, and we are building microsystems that can be scaled not just for India but for the world. So today when we do KYC, which is compliant for all the regulatory rules in India, but we are also now operating through, if I take the same KYC module and I have to do something in other countries, whether it is the ASEAN or the GCC countries or North America, how can the same application work across India? And I think we have seen some success. There is NPCI came up with a fabulous UPI product that seems to be now being explored in other countries. Similarly, Government of India, we had the entire the COVID software that we had, that is also being kind of tried out in other countries. So why not a lending platform made in India being used to service lending across the globe? And and we would want to be the pioneers in that, and we are very aggressively and we are committed to work towards the cause.
Right, that's a beautiful thought. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.